Okay, hold up. You want this right here?
That's fine.
Like this is the angle.
Okay.
Okay. That's my one. It's probably the one that's provided for you.
Here we go. Okay, hang on. Down the middle, that's what we're right to my opioids. I'm happy.
Yes, sir. Bless you. Bless you. Anybody said? No, man. Oh, look at that, bro. Our middle school experience, and how he wasn't from the black man that we had, bro. That's what, that's a guy here. Where you at? University of Art and Design. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you all to bring for the last session of the day. So I wanted to just welcome you to our final session. My name is Pam and
Here we go.
Thanks. All right, so my name is Pam Wells, and I'm here to welcome you to the last session of the day. Remind you that there is a QR code on your seat for evaluation at the end of time, and introduce. Because we're having slight technical difficulties, so we don't have an HDMI cord that's operational currently. So that means that our speaker doesn't have a PowerPoint to start, but we're crossing our fingers and our toes and any other parts of your body that you want to cross. That shortly we will have a functioning PowerPoint. So I would like to introduce Raydel, and I'm going to let him introduce himself more. But thanks for coming.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I don't need the mic.
I don't know.
I like to move and interact. Do all that. It's the last session of the day, man. How y'all doing?
Good.
Tired? Y'all good? Y'all lively?
Yeah.
Playground voice.
Playground voice? Okay, speak it up. All right, so we gonna start off and we gonna pick the energy up. Can I get some claps? I've been trying to get some sleep all week. I couldn't. I've been at the edge of my seat. I've been calling McGee every hours of the night, bothering him with my speech. I just been excited to get here. And the reason why is because when God calls you, man, for your purpose, these positions feel so favored. It don't feel like a conference, right? It don't feel like this is a breakout session. Actually, I'm actually living my dream. So to be here with y'all is more than just an honor. It's the proof of my blessings and my favor. So this conference has been immaculate. The opening with Michael Eric Dyson, that was super, super crazy. I just came back from a breakout session that was talking about fatherhood, and one of the crazy takeaways was they said it takes 12 mentors. 12 mentors is equivalent to one father.
Yes.
That's deep.
Yes.
That's crazy. So the information that just been shared, the knowledge that's been gained, having conversations through the breakout sessions, being able to pick people's brain, it's been amazing. So I'm enjoying myself. I want to open this up and see how y'all been enjoying the conference. So if I can get a couple friendly volunteers to just tell me your name, what you do, and what's been one key takeaway that you've had from the conference so far. Anybody from the audience?
My name is Javante Tubbs. I am the manager of health, wellness, and youth at the Urban League of West Michigan. One of the great takeaways that I've listened to or heard that I will leave here with is when Dr. Michael Eric Dyson said that my mother birthed me, but my father rebirthed me. Right? And I don't know about, I don't know the actual number, but it's so many of our youth who don't have fathers. So they never go through that rebirth into manhood. So we deal with a bunch of grown boys. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we have a responsibility to get to it. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, man. Somebody in that? I'm just our coach.
I got you, fam.
I'm just our
I
coach.
got you, fam, because you ain't gonna call me. My name is Jonathan Rosewood. I work at Lansing Community College, running a mentor program called Men About Progress, and also help with a nonprofit called the Turning Point in Lansing for boys 6th grade to 12th grade. So one thing that I've learned is trying to build safe spaces for our people. It's okay to have people come in, but just setting the tone and let them know that if we have a space for example, men, you can come, but we're going to be talking about men issues and what we got to deal with. And if you want a different space, we can help you create that so you can be able to have that opportunity. But in order for us to get our business done, we got to be able to be vulnerable and open up and share what we have. And then I appreciate you for having this session because you brought me and my bro back together. We had a male mentoring program when we was in middle school called Men Eliminate Negativity. And black men, you said 12 to 1. It was probably 12 African American men in our school in Detroit. It was a charter school, and we was able to get connected right here, bro. So I appreciate it.
Furthermore, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that y'all are in my session. So before we get started, please give yourselves a round of applause for showing up today. My name is Raydel Bonneville Jr. I am my daddy's son. Also known as Raydel Shemay to many people. I am one of 2 siblings in which we split an 18-year gap. Now, I had the same thought that some of y'all had. Why did my mom wait 18 years later to start all over? I have no idea. But I know Hennessy and Keith Sweater make you do some crazy things. Fun fact about me. For the last 7 years, I've privately studied with monks, learning about the importance of self-awareness, the art of meditation, and enlightenment. It's been an amazing experience. It's been an essential tool for my personal development, as well as being able to help youth and young adults. I'm a youth advocate. I run my own business, and I help them. I use the tools that I've learned to help them create social emotional skills, resilience training, emotional intelligence to be able to not only enhance their awareness, but to also focus on the intentionality of everyday decision making. I think growth starts with teaching a young boy, one, how to be self-aware of himself as well as those around him. Number two, how to manage what it is that he feels, what he thinks, as well as having empathy for what everybody else feels and what he thinks, being able to develop those social skills, but most importantly, how to make decisions with those things. Currently, I'm studying at Harvard Business School online, taking up business and leadership and management. Alongside of that, I run my own business. I am a social influencer. I'm a recording artist as well as an investor. The purpose of this session for me and for you all is to create a pipeline to purpose and not prison for Black boys who eventually become Black men. I want to create a dialogue and a space that invites the reimagination of Black boyhood as well as Black manhood. We have three objectives. Number one, to identify and disrupt the deficit thinking within our educators as well as our authority leaders, as well as creating clarity in the educational picture for Black boys. Number two, developing a new reality about our Black boys as well as our Black men. And lastly, in order to connect with our Black boys, we first have to enter the mind of the child in order to be able to know how we can connect to them, to then be able to serve their greatest good. Now, before we get started, I want everyone to take one collective deep breath with me. One more. Repeat after me. Say, my purpose is bigger than my problems. My purpose is bigger than my problems. My purpose is bigger than my problems. In 1828, Webster was 70 years old when he published the dictionary. From 1828 to the present day, that has been 194 years. This is how we have shaped our collective understanding of language. Now, Webster's rationale in his preface of this project goes as follows, and I quote, "It is not only important, but to a degree necessary, that the people of this country have an American dictionary of the English language. For although the body of the language is the same as in England, and it is desirable to perpetuate that sameness, yet some differences must exist. Language is an expression of ideas. And if the people of one country cannot preserve an identity of language, they cannot retain an identity of ideas." I think it's important to highlight a phrase, a sentence. Language is an expression of ideas. Before we can attempt to better connect with the Black boys that we serve, it's vital to understand the language, the expression, and the ideas that have been perpetuated about what it means to be Black. It's one thing to be a man. It's another thing to be Black. When we understand the labels associated with Black, then we can start breaking down certain components that opens our mind up. For every disempowering word associated with the word black, I want us to put a Band-Aid on this black baby doll. Can I have a volunteer to come up to be my doctor to administer the care? Granted, the Journal of Social Psychology just released an article that said that it takes 66 to 254 days for new habits and a new behavior to fully form. When we think about the ideas that have been perpetuated and the labels that are associated with the word black, we have to understand that there's an expectation for black boys and black men to unlearn 194 years in 66 and 254 days. For every word associated with black. I want you to put a Band-Aid on the baby. Definition number 1. Dirty. Grimy. Characterized by the absence of light, reflecting or transmitting little or no light at all. Old-fashioned, thoroughly sinister, evil, wicked, indicative of condemnation or discredit, connected with or invoking the supernatural, especially the devil. Very sad, gloomy, a black tragedy marked by the occurrence of disaster associated with death, characterized by hostility or anger and discontent, sullen, a resentful filled heart, distorted, darkened by anger, rage, connected so as to appear to originate within an enemy, characterized by grim distortion and grotesque satire.
I can't feel it fast enough.
Question. As he continues to catch up with placing Band-Aids on open wounds, he can't move fast enough to do it. I want us to look at this dog. But I want us to see what Pinocchio wanted, to be a real boy. A real black boy. what do we see? How many of us in here got children? So let's make it personal. I see a lot of black hands. Anybody in here got boys? When you take your baby to school and you send him out into the world, you know at home he was little Ray Ray. Dancing happy, as joyful as ever. And your little boy come home with so many bandages on his body you can't tell what's his race. Now what do you see? You got black sons. Y'all can say that a lot: hurt, anger, trauma, pain. Identity crisis. This is somebody's black son.
Anger.
Confusion. When we enter the mind and the body of the child, let's speak from that perspective. How does the child feel? Broken, defeated. Scared, isolated. It gets worse every time you say something. The scary part is, how many conferences do we need to have to see that? No one's came here and said anything new. We've been saying it for about 400 years. The ultimate question is, why does this still exist? And we're just talking about a dictionary. We're just talking about a very minute level of a word. Why does this still exist? And then there's silence. The problem is we have an incredible imagination for this type of thing. The definition, the meanings, the words. It's interesting that it takes this long. We can identify everything but an answer. Dr. Keith Mays, he said this, and I thought this was a beautiful quote. He said, "We do not have a problem understanding the relationship between a doctor and his patient. The doctor knows what's at stake. He knows that the cut and the laceration needs to be disinfected and bandaged. He knows that the bone needs to be reset, the artery needs to be bypassed, the tumor needs to be removed. The doctor does not judge the incoming conditions. The doctor just administers the care. If it is the doctor's responsibility to reset the body, then it is our responsibility to reset the mind by reestablishing a desire to learn." Now, in a medical context, we understand and comprehend that clearly. But we fail to translate that same sense of urgency to the classrooms, from teachers to students, especially white teachers to black students. On our quest in this session, and once we leave here, my hope is that in our quest for the betterment and improvement, that we as collectives disrupt the language, the expression, and the ideas that are associated towards black boys and black men socially and within the educational environments, as well as create the urgency to administer the necessary care to blossom a successful black boy up into black manhood. Now, in the educational systems, deficit thinking holds students from historically oppressed backgrounds responsible for their challenges and their inequalities that they face. But shedding blame on the student and their family and their culture for academic and behavioral difficulties only acts as tools to maintain a hegemonic system, resulting in failing to hold the educational institutions accountable for reaffirming oppressive structures, policies, and practices that still exist within the educational setting. Now, we understand that these difficulties are part of a much bigger systematic oppression, but these systems also engage in language that treats black boys like problems rather than people. Where do we see the issue with that? Well, in early research labeled black men as endangered species. I'm not the smartest man in the world, but an endangered species is one that is extinct. Early research labeled black men as endangered species, further subjecting them to being predators. And in the same token, blamed them for their predicaments in their environments. For me, I think when educators focus more so on trying to fix black boys rather than fix these oppressive systems and structures, then we deviate away from help. And we actually do more hurting than we do helping. We also have a language deficiency, where the term at risk, originally, it was used to describe a marginalized and academically disadvantaged child. Now, along with that comes the expectation for this particular child to fail. Now, in order to disrupt this way of thinking, educators must not view these boys as being at risk, but at the expense that the educational institutions are actually at risk of failing these black boys. How we identify and name problems are just as important as how we address them. So, for example, the best alternative to describe an at-risk student is simply a student. Furthermore, I find this to be also interesting as I'm talking to my research. We quick to say minority, but minority makes you a project, an experiment, not a human being. In the 1980s, the term minority was used to refer to the African American population, and it has become standard language in educational research, in educational institutions, and in the present day, it is a socially conceptualized term. However, for 42 years, the term minority has seen a discourse in which the African American population are less than white people. So this term also promotes deficit thinking, and it undermines the effects of black trauma. When you use the term minority, I want you to think about it in this sense. Minority translates as, not only are you less, but we got a special place for you in our agenda that doesn't involve these privileges over here. So a minoritized student is a student that faces racism, ableism, and educators and students presuming his or her competence due to the circumstances outside of his or her control. The chain of command goes as follows. Minority, black student. Black student, inferior. Being inferior means that you are less important and that you are less valued. That's an issue. The reason why is because, is anybody in here familiar with the Dow test experiment? And for some of you who are not, I get you hit. In the 1940s, 1940s, psychologists Kenneth and Mammoth Clark, which are psychologists, they did a Dow test to show that psychological and systemic inferiority has been instilled in black boys as early as the age of 5 years old, causing them to see themselves as inferior, as well as causing white children to view black children as inferior and as viewing themselves as the superior race. That's 5 years old. Fast forward to 2022. The question still remains, why does this exist? If educators who do not look like us do not help us reaffirm our self-identity, then all we are left with is the negative perceptions of what the world has given us. If I took a picture of everybody in this room, if you tell them the truth, who the first person you're going to look for in that picture? You're going to look for yourself. You're going to make sure your hair all good. You're going to make sure your earrings is looking nice. The flash ain't make you look too glossy, right? The issue that our black boys are having in the educational environment today is that they don't see themselves in the picture. And it's our responsibility to clear that up. Which moves to this. It's an address that Muhammad Ali did on the educational picture for black boys and men in the USA. And I thought it was so powerful.
There's many white people who mean right and in heart want to do right. But there's so few. If 10,000 rattlesnakes was coming down that aisle now, and I had a door I could shut, and in that 10,000, 1,000 meant right. 1,000 rattlesnakes didn't want to bite me. I knew they were good. Should I let all these rattlesnakes come down, hoping that 1,000 get together and form a shield? Or should I just close the door and stay safe? I think that, you understand? I hear Congo, not all bad, but America still dropping bombs. In Hiroshima, Japan wasn't bad, she still dropped the bomb. In Korea, they weren't bad, but they still dropped the bomb. So now I'm going to forgive the 400 years of lynching and killing and raping and depriving our people of freedom, justice, equality, the first fire, last high, the lowest of low, last respected. And I'm going to look at truthfully white people who are trying to do right and don't see another million trying to kill me. I'm not that big of a fool. And I'm not going to deny it. I believe everything.
Powerful segment. Open dialogue. I want to address the crowd. I want y'all thoughts. How does this video, 1971, how does this video speak to the problems black boys face in the educational environments in 2022?
Briefly, these right here, that all these kids have them, they can press a button and they can see the trauma. They can see cop killings. They can see the quote unquote Karens and the Kens and they can see all the bias, the all the negative connotations and just exactly what you're saying. So it's readily available right here, right? But then they walk into a school and see those same people. The same people that they see doing their people wrong right on these phones, they walk into the school because we know 88% of teachers are Caucasian female. Nothing against the Caucasian female, I'm just stating the facts. So when they walk into the school, this is what they see, right? They see the same people who are inflicting trauma on this, They're inflicting the trauma to them, their community, but then they walk in and have to be submissive. They have to take directives and directions from them, and it's a barrier. So we dealing with some cognitive issues now. Do I submit to that? Do I listen to that? Do I trust that? Do I, because it's on presentation sessions. You understand? So this is what our kids are dealing with when they walk through that school door.
And that,
Yeah, so on my third day at my new school, the Emmett Implementing Act was passed into law, finally signed into law. And I asked my students if they knew who he was. And of my 127 students, 6 knew who he was. And of all of them, one had kind of a right story of what happened. And I'm an English teacher, I teach them that words are important. Words matter. How we label things and what we call things matter. And the fact, I told them, you need to question the systems in place. You need to question why you have to do things, who you have to listen to, and why you have to listen to them. And I said, if I'm the first person who's told you about this today, in 11th grade English, why? Who benefits from you not knowing about this? Who benefits from you not knowing that this has been proposed over 200 times? And it's just now, in 2022, being signed into law, and their eyes were huge. I just don't, it goes beyond the people standing at the front, and it goes through every person who meets them and doesn't tell them these things. Because at the end of the day, like you said, I'm still just the white lady at the front of the room. That's, it matters. Those words matter.
I appreciate that. For me, the first thing that comes to my mind is there's paranoia and there's a trust issue. There's a disconnection between black students and their appointed leaders. Now, granted, going off the statistics, that is factual. There's no offense, we just have to deal with the facts. The most common ethnicity amongst teachers are white, which makes up about 72% of all teachers. Well, what does this mean? Well, what it means is the most dominant influence on the educational outcomes for black boys come from those that don't look like us. Now understand our story, our experience. Not only that, but we have to take it beyond a race thing. Right? It ain't just there's a disconnection between black boys and their white women teachers. No, that isn't solely the case. But the traditional classroom setting isn't built up to embrace the black experience. There's more to black history than I have a dream in Rosa Parks saying no. And quite frankly, I'm tired of hearing about it. And quite frankly, the kids are tired of hearing about it as well. So now there's a resistance. Because truthfully, what happens is when you oversaturate a kid with the same information over and over and over again, on one side of the fence, you think that they're going to learn to get it. On the other end, I'm going to become disengaged, and what you're doing is you're actually making me bored with the interest to learn about my own history. So now I have a resistance to wanting to learn about it because the way that it's being taught. This is an issue because it further subjects black boys to statistical scenarios. Graduation rates being 59%, more than 50% dropout, the highest incarceration rates among ethnicity. We score lower on standardized testing, and that goes on and on and on and on. The list goes on. Has anybody ever heard about the roads that grew from concrete? By show of hands. Ooh, I like when nobody knows. This was written by Tupac Shakur. I'm going to break down the symbolism in it. He said, did you hear about the roads that grew from a crack in the concrete? Proving nature's laws wrong. It learned to walk without having feet. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned how to breathe fresh air. Long live the roads that grew from concrete when no one else ever cared. What do we think the roads represent? Himself. In this context, it represents our black boys, black men who have struggled, who have been subjected to these predicaments and these situations and circumstances. But the poem gets a little bit more beautiful. See, when a rose grows through a crack in the concrete, we have to understand that the crack in the concrete represents a chance and an opportunity. That's all we ever need. But nonetheless, before we ever had a chance and an opportunity, we created one. But when you realize that a rose grew through a crack in the concrete, well, the concrete, when we think about concrete, we think about a couple of things. Concrete is dirty, first and foremost. It's rough. It's hard. That symbolizes our life, the Black experience. But a rose growing through a crack in concrete, if we walk by a sidewalk and you saw a rose growing through concrete, you're going to marvel at the fact that it grew through concrete. Regardless if it's leaning to the side, the petals are a little dirty, right? You're going to marvel at the fact that this just grew through concrete. But when it comes to a ghetto Black boy from a dirty environment who lived a dirty life and come from the most impossible circumstances, and he can get up here and he can talk, he confident, he bold, he articulate, he's smart, he got to be all of these things. He becomes the PhDs, the masters. I give you everything. All you can keep talking about is my dirty petals. You don't even see that I just grew from an impossible circumstance. Then the poem gets delicate. He said, proving nature's law is wrong. Well, nature's law is symbolizing society's expectations. When you come from that environment, come on, it's only a couple options you got, my brother. Either dead or in jail. This isn't even conversation no more. They put it out there so blatant that it's crazy. This is actually what we think. We actually predict the life expectancy for kids that grow from this area. Proving nature's law is wrong. Proving society's expectations wrong. They learn how to walk without having feet. Not having feet symbolizes the lack of support. Yet, funniest thing, but by keeping his dreams, they learn to breathe fresh air. Fresh air symbolizes, although I had the lack of support, and the voice of Maya Angelou, still I rise. We see this often. And if we do not become first respondents to cultivating the potential of these Black boys that are growing through these circumstances, then what side of the fence are we on, actually? Is it just a good conversation to say we want to help? Or do we see it and then give it the proper nutrients that it needs to blossom? There's 4 points of emphasis. We have to improve the educational systems, improve opportunities, place-based policies, and mentorship as it pertains to the educational systems. We have to cultivate the full potential of our Black students. Black students deserve to learn and grow and be engaged inside of a classroom that teaches them about the Black experience. Also, exposing them to knowledge that helps better connect and find their identity in their own story. Right? Opportunities. I'm a firm believer. Exposure expands expectations. What are we exposing our Black boys to? What are we exposing them to? What information are we actually giving them? Neighborhoods, vest in the hood. It's so easy for us to talk about how a rose grows through a crack in concrete. But the reality check is, if you're not going to be a part of providing the soil and the garden that's needed to bloom an effective and efficient flower, you in a way. You should move aside. And that's a visual representation for our boys right now. They're in these neighborhoods. We know about these neighborhoods. We know all of what the evidence suggests. The evidence suggests that boys tend to be more sensitive to their environments growing up. This is true. We don't need to continue to harbor and ponder on statistics and these numerical numbers. We know this. The thing about it is, are we going to go dig our hands in there and snatch them out of there because we see the crisis? We see the harm. And we have to move from mentorship to sponsorship. I'm gonna be honest. Mentorship has become, let me save the little hurt dog. You know, you see a little wounded dog on the street, you want to take it in and feed it and give it a home and give it shelter. Right? I love this quote. Dr. John Shaw said that there must be a shift away from saviorship to sponsorship. Black men must be willing to sponsor black boys into opportunities to make a difference in their life. I understand that mentorship and having that black presence, having that black role model, it does a lot. There's a lot of benefits. Academic performance, mental health, social, emotional well-being. It prevents certain behaviors, right? I'm a product of sponsorship. My mentor is right there in the back, Dr. Jason McGee. Started as mentorship, and it goes from a mentor when you're effectively doing your job. It goes from mentorship to, that's a father figure for me. That's a man in my life, not a mentor. Right? So we have to do diligence with our investments. Let's bridge together. The reimagination of black boys. We have to reimagine our black boys in a different way. It's interesting because I've talked about this again. We have an incredible imagination when it comes to negativity for our black boys, but when it comes to imagining a more productive and positive and nurturing reality, why is it so much cluster? I'll give you a story. I remember my high school, it was my senior year, and I'm telling you, it was amazing. It was incredible. I probably had the best senior year that you can have in your life. I was the class president, the last class president. Obama was president. I felt like God was showing me something. Right? It just made sense. So, right? So I had a different bravado to me. You know, I'm a part of the honor club, honor society, 3.5, highest ACT jump. I work with Fox 17, Pay It Forward, Prom King. It don't get better than that. You know? And I remember at the end of the year, I was working on my speech for graduation, and I got ready to go into one of my advocates' office, and I said, I want to go in there and just talk to them. I need to let all of this out. I feel like there's so much going on. My brother was being born in a couple weeks. It's crazy. I ain't the only child no more. That's crazy. You know? So I just needed to get that off. So we sitting in the office and we talking, and she's like, man, how do you feel? I'm like, man, I'm coming in here so you can tell me how I feel. I don't know what to do with all this. I'm about to positivity dump on you real quick, and I'm just going. She's like, you know what? It's interesting that you walked into my office because I just was talking to one of your middle school teachers not too long ago about you. I'm like, really? Flatter me, will you? So I'm just bragging on you, and I'm just telling her all the good things that you're doing, you know, who you became, all of the accolades, what you mean to the school. You became such a symbol. She said, man, I told her, if I had a son, she didn't have kids at the time, if I had a son, I would want him to be Raydel Bonneville Jr. And my little heart just melted, you know? My little heart just melted because, that's an honorary compliment, you know? And I'm just all humble. I'm like, oh, stop, you know? Stop. She tells me that my middle school teacher tells her, we can't be talking about the same Raydel Bonneville Jr. Are you sure that we're talking about Raydel Bonneville Jr.? I'm not sure why she put emphasis on it, but we're talking about Bonneville, you know. So yes, talk about him. She continues with other details. And my middle school teacher said, I don't believe the story that you told. Because the chances of Raydel Bonneville becoming successful is equivalent to being struck by lightning 5 times in one day. That'll never happen. That was a middle school teacher that I had that told my high school advocate that the chances of me being successful is equivalent to being struck by lightning 5 times in one day. And I remember walking out of her office, and she tried to stop me from walking out, and I walked out. I just felt like I went from 100 to 0. And I'm a confident person. I don't know if y'all can tell or not. I don't cry too often, but I remember walking that whole day. And I walked. I cut my phone off. And the last stop on my walk was my middle school. And I remember getting on 2 knees and I just broke down and I cried. I'm talking bawling tears. I've never seen myself cry this much. And for a minute I thought I was crying because I was sad. Because I was hurt. And to a degree, I kind of was. That's kind of crazy to say that about any kid. You know, subjectively, it's personal because it's you, but objectively, like, you think this way about a child. I was a kid when you thought this. And I cried, and I finished crying, and I looked up, and I thanked God, and I started laughing. I had a good laugh about it. And I said, I'm laughing because if the likelihood of me being successful is equivalent to being struck by lightning 5 times in one day, thank God I became electrifying.
All right, all right.
And it was a proud moment for me because I also became the proof that it's possible. And it's possible to get on this other side. It's possible to do it. It exists with no excuses, right? Which leads me into this. This is super important. What's the solution? We do this talking a lot. What's the solution? The solution has been the same for many years, but we have to be applicable consistently and consecutively. Relational learning. We have to invite a relationship between the students and the teachers, where it's an actual relationship, it's organic, it's meaningful, right? And it deconstructs the hierarchy within the education of teaching, right? So far as us educators, we can't continue to come and teach from a position of power. We already create a disconnection when we do that. When you come to the room, you're a teacher, I'm a student, I can't relate to PhD. I can't. There's a disconnect already. Because we come in the room and we credential them to death. We feel so good about the time that we put in. And don't get me wrong, I love the masters and the PhD, but we do it to death. That we allow our degrees to actually overshadow the fact that these kids are human beings and they need connection. So we have to dive into relational learning, and what that does is it fosters stronger relationships between teachers and their students, and it creates a worker reliance rather than just a classroom setting. So we have to foster quality relationships with our students, and it boosts intrinsic motivation, engagement, and so on and so forth. This has become super, super popular. Are we all familiar with SEL? Okay, cool. So according to the Collaborative of Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, SEL is a process through which children and adults understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, build and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. Let me tell you, if I had this growing up, I promise you I would be able to have navigated some of the things that, you know, me and my mom endured, and just the environment we grew up in. You know, I remember, you know, weekend came, we having fun with our friends, having a party. You know, this is middle school, and the next day one of our friends get killed, get his brains blew up. And then Monday I woke up and took a meat test. Fresh off this, with no sense of direction. But we're so focused on the numerical gaps, the test scores, the numbers, that we deviate from the belief gap, the inspiration gap, the motivation gap, the connectivity and the relational gap, the engagement gap. We have to move away from focusing so much on numbers. We've literally turned students into count day. So social emotional learning, we have to not only practice this for ourselves, be self-aware, but also train up a child in the way in which he should go when he was older, he would not depart from it. A lot of our children have been trained up poorly, and now they've become grown men who have not departed from poor qualities and habits, right? Last story, we're gonna wrap it up. Is anybody in here by a show of hands familiar with the story of Amy Mayfield? By a show of hands. Ooh, I love when they don't know. Oh, I love when they don't know. Let me show y'all. So look, I got all the facts about this lady. So just 70 years after Webster defined the meaning of black, she was born in 1898 in Mississippi, right? She lived to witness everything imaginable, and I literally mean that. She lived to see the rise and the fall of the Titanic. She was there for World War I and II, the Holocaust, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech and the assassination of Martin Luther King. She was here when we adopted the Star Spangled Banner as our national anthem. She lived to see Alaska become the 49th state, Hawaii become the 50th state, the Great Depression, the murder of Emmett Till, the influenza pandemic, the Korean War, the Cuban Missile Crisis, Civil Rights Act, the terrorist attack on 9/11. I shouldn't keep going. The list goes on. She died at the divine age of 105. Right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Legendary. And like God do for me, I had the honors of building a relationship with this lady before she died. This woman was incredible. Incredible. And in my time of learning and building and developing a relationship with her, I learned these things. She was married one time. She had 14 children with her husband. They used to do it different back then. Them jeans ain't like that now. They got 14 kids by one man, by her husband. And she had 7 girls and she had 7 boys. She was a homeowner. She was a virtuous woman. And before she took her last breath in 2003, I also learned she was my great-great-grandmother. I also learned that she was never a slave. And I also learned that she was nothing like what Webster described as being black. So the reason why I talk with so much passion and so much confidence, and the reason why I talk with so much power and authority is because when I say that my purpose is bigger than my problems, my proof is in my heritage. And every black boy and man deserves to grow into a meaningful identity of a purpose on this planet. And if we do not collectively rehumanize black overallness, then black excellence will continue to become a defense mechanism and a response out of trauma, because black people are being forced to be excellent because we feel like we're not allowed to be human. In 1828, Webster was 70 years old when he said, language is an expression of ideas. And if the people of one country cannot preserve an identity of ideas, they cannot retain an identity of language. Well, my great-great-grandmother was 105 when she told me, when somebody want to impress you, baby, they gonna decorate it with their degrees, their accolades, their status, their position, and their power. And by the time you notice, you actually worse than you ever was before you talked to them. But when somebody truly wants to help you, they'll make it simple and easy. My question that I leave you all with today is, are we brave enough to make it simple and easy when it comes to the educational and social outcomes of black boys? Or have our own problems become bigger than our purpose to help? That's my time.
We need the video.
I tried to get it.
So all over basically between our three counties.
I've been going back and forth, trying to be in both rooms. It was hard, but oh my God. It was this one
Right, I feel like I have my life together now. After that.
It is my hope and
My mom is
So she knows.
less than an hour. And we got Zoom, bro. Phone call.
Everything.
Check it out. You starting your program. You starting in a way bigger city than was. Pick our brains about. We can talk about executive.
Sure, I got that same phone.
I actually gotta get moving.
I feel like that's the only way you're gonna work. So I want you to tap into I did out there for my college friends. We got a program where my progress, and I was doing it for myself.
Okay, so
they setting up everything. They work on the programming aspect. They work on right personal development. So all of these things they working on, and then they go. So therefore, you don't have to work. You just guide them. And then therefore they go out and do everything for you.
And then I can sign up there.
And I went to the conference for the first time this year, bro. And it was phenomenal, bro. And you can tell the young man. And that's what we do, bro. So look it up, actually. Brothers and Brothers. If you see another name, SAAB. It's the same thing. The only reason why they switched it is because SAB is Student African American Brotherhood. So they turned it to Brothers and Brothers to be more inclusive.
Yeah, you did. Thank you. Glad that I was able to.
We started turning point over 20 years ago. Yeah. Now he's finally.
I gotta go prepare
He's
myself.
about to retire from. He started at a high level water life. Oh yeah. So he's about to retire in 4 years. And his goal is to just do this work. That's why I'm leaving. I'm leaving my class. That's all those different
man, I'm there with it.
We all
I do that type of work.
I didn't know.
I'm trying to network and make sure my car. It's in my bag. And every day.
This has been the most common question people have asked me since I finished. They said, when you travel, I said, I just left for looking over there. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? So you got you got my info. Let's make it happen.
I'm right, bro.
I'm ready.
You know what I'm saying? I'm emailing you, and then it has my info.
Okay.
Like I said, man, I love you next.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Let's get some folks. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You said you gotta get it right. It wasn't hit.
It was Keith Sweat though.
Oh, that's beautiful. 313-918-4046.
So that's why I was like, man, look, let me get my feet in this thing.
Just like you, bro.
And then they're like, oh, it's going well.
I'm leaving LCC for that reason. Yeah, because I'm ready to do my passion, where my love, you know. And people look like, what are you doing? You have to take less money. Like, yeah. Hey man, it's a sacrifice.
Right.
It's gonna be, oh man, people gonna be here. I'm going through that same thing, man. People like, you coming back next year? Because I mean, I had like, this was like a great year. Yeah. You know, probably my best year being in the class.
Right.
Man, God has showed me more.
Right.
And it's like, man, I'll be a fool if I didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Listen and follow and just be that's where my true happiness come at now. I mean, I'm being in the classroom happy, but like my after school program, man, like I love them boys. And yeah, they push me, but it's like, man, I had them say like, man, you been
Like, you be mad at us, but you ain't ran away. Man, that's what y'all expecting, man. That's my way. So, man, that's why
Yeah. Come on. Come on, boy. Man, we gotta take a picture, man.
Let's get it, bro.
We gotta send this to Mr. Fountain and all them. I got them on Facebook.
Oh, really?
Mr. Fountain, I got Mr. Williams. Actually, bro, it was crazy when I went back to Osborne, bro. Mr. Williams was working as the parent liaison. He's like, bro, I'm like, what's up, big fella? You know, so, bro, it's amazing. Actually, Mr. Hood, bro. Mr. Hood, he became an alpha out there in like Ypsilanti. So I got to see him like, what up, bruh? And it's just.
You remember Mr. Wallace?
Yeah.
He be coming to our event.
Where Mr. Wallace at, bro?
At EMU.
Straight as a professor?
He is, I want to say Black Student Development, Black Student Engagement or Development.
Oh my God,
bro! Yeah, so he's still in the game, man.
Oh my
still
God!
In the game,
come on, bro. Let's do this, bro. This is dope. Yeah, Joe Bush, what?
Yeah, hey, man.
Come on, I'm about to walk down. My boy hit me up so I get to the bar. Great job, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yes. 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 Yes.
All right.
Appreciate you. That's how you wake him up, baby.
He came with that heat.
Hey, listen, I told you I was gonna come and do it.
Come on, man.
Heat, man. What ain't no PowerPoint.
Hey, what you want to know what's crazy about that, family? I was like, man, I didn't realize I was 25 minutes into my presentation, and I didn't realize they came and fixed the projector.
Yeah.
That's why when I came up, I just kept swiping. I'm like, man, you know what I mean? But
that's where that practice is. That's why we practice.
Yeah. But you know what? When it's real, it's easy. You don't have to prepare for it.
You know, and that's the thing.
But like what we just said, when you're attention, is so we got to go before, like, I was up about, and when I said up about, you had the praise and the what was you had the praise, you know, look, like, $200 or $300 here and there, you know, and then we talked in like, I love my dad. Yeah, amazing, bro. But over here, they didn't have another married after their next so it's always good. We got it. It's like having that cousin LA since what you from being, you know, absolutely on hey, cuz, 4 years. I want a reason to try it first. I want a reason to get out here. You know what I mean? Because I understand that, you know, like I said, my baby is 16 or 6. And that's just honest. They've been breaking for 3-4 conversations. I'm like, man, that's right. Oh. I'm gonna look. Because I think I was smart. That's a month, right? Come here. Appreciate it. I was like, he was recording. Yeah. He was. Hey, man, but I thank y'all for coming, man. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, bro. Oh, yeah. Most definitely. I'm gonna give yes, sir. Again, appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you.
You hear me? You hear me?
They said that's compliment.
You hear me?
Wow, stop
Hey,
playing.
did he say he got it?
Huh?
The recording he got?
Man, yes. Hold on, let me call T real quick.
I just got the phone away. I just told her I was going to do it.
Yeah.
You need your stuff, don't you? Somebody asked about the sneaker ball. You know what time it start?
Yeah, it's gonna start in a minute.
Oh.
Man, stop fucking playing with me, man. Stop fucking playing with me, man. Hey, T. What's my name? What's my name, man? ovation, man. Standing ovation, man. You wanna know what they said to me? I'm gonna be honest. That was the best session of the day. Stop. Man, let me tell you something. 9 people said to me, when you travel, I want to connect. I said, I'm thinking you're working out 20 years of it. I'm thinking you're working out 20 years of it. You crazy. Man, you fucking kidding me, man? I want to scream, but everybody like moving right now. I'm in the midst of a crowd, so I'm like in a corner. But nigga, you know how I got the room. I'm lit to you, dude. Hear me?
And it's 8.
Hey.
Brilliant.
Hey. Thank you, man. It's
You shut them down with the
you
8.
hear me?
You shut them down with the 8 Mayfield.
Man, hey, let me tell you something, right? I told you I put you on that one, your household name, baby. I told you your household name. Man, come on, man. This is at this point, this is Surf getting off stage and Jazz walking up and being like, nigga, what? That's how you run. That's like I told you, man, don't bring me no kids, man. Don't bring me no fucking kids, man. What's wrong with them, dude? Man, how I wrote it all together. I wrote my speech out. I'm gonna tell you the speech, but more than I tell you.
I'm working hard. Yeah, I did. Hey, but you know what? I had to be very quick about it. I had to be because I didn't have my SD card, so I had to stream it from my Facebook page. I had to download it from there. But I captured it because it should have been captured.
I told him, I said,
It's too loud.
Right. You know, he talked about me. They didn't know like who I was.
Right.
So they just, I'm hearing and feeding that.
Stand on ovation.
Something else, you know, they just going for their seeds and stuff.
That's my home. She said crying. I'm not even exaggerating. Crying with tears. She wrote it to me. Yeah, she wrote it. She had not talking to one of my mentors, all of my staff. She was front row.
Oh, Miss Carson.
So far.
I know.
No, I think it wasn't her. I know.
We had a little more. So, right. Let her know. You killed it. You did that. Let her know you did that.
I'm just saying to my mom. She's a part of my life.
Real, you can tell, you can see it in the car.
Whatever makes him happy.
Yeah.
I got to be the guinea pig. Be sit here and be, you know.
Yeah.
I don't be knowing half the time, though. You get me sometimes.
Oh yeah, and it's my mom too. One of the conversations we had. It was part of the story I never shared. It's like I don't want to share that with you. It's kind of like we talk about the drugs that came in the house. My mom was when I said it, she said, "When you going through all that?" She said, "I never really took that way. I never showed her. I just kind of was wrong about it."
It's not fucking playing, man. And I'm gonna tell you.
Right.
Crazy.
What?
Oh, he got the phone right.